2 years ago, our next presenter, who happens to be my sister, walked across this stage and delivered a message that would spark a grassroots movement which would touch the lives of thousands of families of children with autism across the world. Today, 133 children have lost their autism diagnosis as a result of the protocol that you are about to hear about. Some of the families of these children are here today. You can meet them in Calker's Karaoke Lounge after the keynote speech. We're going to be moving over there. We are in the War Hall. We're going to be there at 12:30. Please come over. We're going to have an informal Q&A and all families sharing information, so please join us. The revolution that my sister has started has spread to over 60 countries, and the information is available in over 15 languages. This has led to an amazing movement of families helping other families to heal their children. 11 years ago, when my sister's own son was diagnosed with autism, she made a decision to heal him, and that decision was the catalyst that led us to this moment. 133 children healed, thousands more with undeniable gains, and a movement which is uniting people from around the world in the spirit of healing children and adults alike. It is my extreme honor to introduce to you my sister, my best friend, Kerri Rivera.
I love you all, I really do. And all your angels. This happens to me every year, I have to cry, I'm sorry. And somebody emailed me and they said, well, if that stuff works so well, how come you had a cold? I didn't have a cold. Because they cut the video so you don't actually get to see it. Thank you for the introduction, that's beautiful, hon. My makeup's a mess, but anyway, the message is more important than the makeup, I'm sure. Obviously there's the book. Healing the symptoms known as autism. My journey began obviously before 2006, but it was a very important time when I met Dr. Rimland, and we had lunch together. This was a really phenomenal day. I don't know if any of you don't know who Dr. Rimland is, but he started all the biomedical interventions, and he's the first person back in 1964 to say, something is different about my child, this is not a psychological disorder. And so he had us translate the DAN protocol into Spanish. He told me to take it to Latin America, and I think we have done a phenomenal job in his honor, continuing with the mission. What is autism? So the children with autism seem to have certain things in common: virus, bacteria, candida, parasites, heavy metals, inflammation, and food allergies. Autism is not a lack of supplements. A lot of times we see these mega vitamin therapies and they really seem to be very expensive and we don't seem to get all we really wanted out of them. We need to focus on the excess in autism, which are the pathogens. What is the protocol? It starts off with a diet. Then we have the chlorine dioxide, the pro-oxidant. We use ocean water. We have parasite protocol. Sometimes we use certain supplements. Some children need chelation, some children never need chelation, they can recover before that. Some children use hyperbarics, some children never needed hyperbarics to recover. And then of course the GC-MAF factor, which is amazing and has been also a game changer for the protocol. And again, some children never need it, they recover before. That's why there's steps. The piece of the biofilm that Dr. Anju Usman gave us back in 2007 was very important for us to understand the conditions in the gut. So basically what she was doing, and still does, is hit all pathogens at one time. Because a lot of times, I think some of you might have seen that there's protocols where they're giving all antifungals or antivirals or maybe a couple of things, but if you don't get them all together, we're still missing a piece and then we kind of get out of whack. So the nice thing with the chlorine dioxide is that we're able to take care of almost all of it, and then with the addition of the parasite protocol, really take care of every angle of this. The diet. The most important thing is the diet. I have people say, well, we're 90% the diet, so we really want to get started. I think getting started means getting the diet piece down. And of course, there's a lot of gluten-free, casein-free, SAD diets out there, so we have to always kind of tweak our diet at certain points. But when we start off, we do what we can. Step one is definitely gluten-free, casein-free, soy-free. We have to get a lot of times kids are taking supplements that are like gummy bears and things like that. We have to usually clean those up and get rid of the sugars. That's very, very important. And this is kind of the basic first step. Eventually we can take out some other things if we need to still. This protocol doesn't do very well with these particular fruits, pineapple, mango, and all the citrus, lemon, lime, orange, grapefruit, because they're very antioxidants, so they will kill the prooxidant that is the chlorine dioxide that kills the biofilm and the pathogens. So we have to be very, very careful. There's certain fruits that they can have, like apples, bananas, pears, but also, again, tweaking the diet, sometimes we go ahead and pull out all fruit altogether. No juice. It doesn't matter if it's organic, home squeezed, fresh squeezed, however you want to say it, there's no juice. It doesn't matter if it's orange juice, apple juice, pear juice, juice. There's a lot of antioxidants in juice, and there's a lot of sugar in juice. So we really try to keep the sugar lower because we don't want the sugar in the brain and, of course, feeding all the pathogens. Candida absolutely loves it. There's a lot of problematic ingredients. I think it's very important that you turn the label over, especially the people that are new to the biomedical intervention or recently diagnosed children. The front of cookie boxes and bread boxes will say gluten-free. We put it in the cart, we get it home. It has yeast, it has coloring, it has flavoring, all kinds of things. So really watch out for these. And one of the ones that a lot of the people are using now are yogurts that are made from nuts, like coconut, for instance. They're fine, but if they have carrageenan, that causes brain inflammation, as well as the nut milks. Be careful with the carrageenan. Step 2, chlorine dioxide in the ocean water. So once we have the diet down, now we move into the second step. I like to give families 7 to 10 days to actually go ahead and get the diet straight. You know, you've cleaned out your cupboards with the garbage, you've put in the stuff that they can have, they're eating the foods that they can have, and now we can go ahead and focus on dosing. This is my absolute favorite quote because I think it fits us so well. All truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as self-evident. And I'm really hopeful that we're definitely in the third phase. And I believe that the missing piece of the puzzle to autism recovery is chlorine dioxide. Chlorine dioxide will kill pathogens. It will kill virus, bacteria, candida, and parasites. Actually, a mother yesterday, who might be here today, was saying my child is just passing tons and tons of parasites, and they're not even doing a parasite protocol yet. So as I usually say, we need a parasite protocol for the killing of parasites. We still can get some parasite death because it's changing the environment in the gut as well. So it's still very, very good. The chlorine dioxide will also neutralize heavy metals. So people that are doing chelation, I know one of the doctors who does even IV chelation with some of the children that I work with, found that they had really good pulls using the chlorine dioxide because they had the metals already neutralized. So that's also, they go very, very, very well hand in hand. So, and it's going to kill through oxidation. And it's going to help reduce and eliminate the inflammation. Of course, the inflammation is caused by the pathogens, so we get rid of the pathogens and the inflammation is definitely going to go down. And it's going to stimulate the immune system. So now the body's also going to help us with the healing. And that, of course, is our ultimate goal, that we're able to heal. And of course, getting rid of the biofilm like we saw before in the other slide. So what is chlorine dioxide? Chlorine dioxide is a pro-oxidant. It's a mix of sodium chloride and an acid. You can use citric acid or HCl 4%. There's different acids that they use, but that's primarily what we're using now. It is a positively charged molecule, as is the body, so they repel each other. That's why it does not damage the body. There's a lot of people that are saying that it can be damaging. Again, we have 133 that have lost their diagnosis and we haven't killed anybody. And really, we get the sickest kids because most of the kids have gone to see everybody else before they come here. So we get the kids that really, if it was possible to get harmed, would have been harmed by that. And of course, chlorine dioxide is in all the municipal waters, and it's been used for since the 1800s. So it's not something that's really unknown to us. And it really doesn't do anything other than in 60 minutes, it's done doing its entire action. It is not accumulating in the body. Chlorine dioxide is not bleach. If it was, we'd all just be buying it in the grocery store, and that would be perfectly fine. But chlorine dioxide is not chlorine bleach. They're completely different from a chemical standpoint. They do sound really similar, but I always like that oxygen, O2, and ozone, O3, they sound like cousins. Well, kind of, because we have 2 free molecules and then the other one is 3. But they have very different functions. And of course, you need to breathe oxygen, whereas ozone, you really can't breathe it. You can put it in your vein, you can rectal insufflation, you can do a lot of things with ozone, but definitely not breathing it. So that kind of gives an idea how different Words can sound, especially chemically. So when we talk to our doctors about what chlorine dioxide is and isn't, probably we'd be better off talking to a chemical engineer about what chlorine dioxide is and isn't. Chlorine dioxide comes from a family of oxidizers, meaning they kill through oxidation, so they're pro-oxidants. Ozone has 2.07, that's why it's more controlled. Hydrogen peroxide is 1.80. And then oxygen being around the body is 1.28 to 1.30. And chlorine dioxide, as you can see, is 0.95. So it's less than the actual body. So it can't do the harm to the body that the other ones could do. And it also has a life of about 60 minutes. So we get a lot more time with the chlorine dioxide in the body so that it can go deeper into the body and really root out the pathogens. How to activate a drop, we start with a dry glass shot glass. We put in 1 drop of the sodium chloride, 1 drop of the acid. We wait for anywhere between 30 and 60 seconds. I like 60 seconds. This can kind of, even in the old CD community, we can still have our discrepancies. I'm going with 60 seconds, you decide. And then we add water. This could still change, but anyway. The baby bottle method has been phenomenal because people say to me, oh, I'm so afraid of the protocol, I don't want my kid to vomit, This really took away what happened to me, and I think people have heard my story because nobody was really using it nobody was using it for autism when I started 4 years ago, and they definitely weren't using the lower doses. So when we started off, it was we start off with 1 drop. Well, still 1 drop for a lot of us is way too much. So with the baby bottle method, what we did, we activate our drop, and then we put it into 8 ounces of water, and then we give 1 ounce 8 times a day. And this way we're doing 1/8 of a drop at a time. So it's a very low dose. And if you give 1/8 of a drop on the first time and you see you don't feel so good or your child doesn't feel so good, you can always go ahead and pour half the bottle out, fill it with water, and we get to 1/16 of a drop. So we can always break it down if necessary. I don't usually find that it's necessary. I'd say maybe once every 6 months I find that's necessary. So of course I just explained all that. And then on day 2, we would put 2 drops of each in each glass. So it would be 2 drops of sodium chloride, 2 drops of the acid in our tequila glass, and then we would add that to our 8 ounces of water. We would just go up slowly, and sometimes we go up every 3 days for the small children, and sometimes we go up every day. It just depends on how everybody's feeling. The protocol is an oral, rectal, and baths, and then of course we have some kind of kamikaze things on the weekends sometimes, but they work very well for some children. The oral dosing can be anywhere from 8 to 16 doses a day. This is not a miracle pill. This is a lot of work. The parents who have recovered their kids and have their children in recovery work very, very hard. It's really difficult to get used to dosing every single hour, but the results are phenomenal. And those Sunrise parents, you guys are amazing. So with their kids, they're dosing all the time. I was an ABA parent, so. Using the baby bottle method really helps as far as dosing by weight. So we're going to go up. If you have a 25-pound child, it's 8 drops is the full dose. A 50-pound child is going to be 16. So we kind of go up like that. Enemas we do every day, every other day. Again, it's going to depend on what we're seeing. And people say, well, my child's not constipated, I don't need to do enemas. It really isn't based on constipation. It has more to do with what's coming out and how they're looking and feeling. Because a lot of times the enemas, because they're detoxifying, they're just looking a lot better. And baths, some children love baths, so we can do them every day. Sometimes it's every other day. Some children do not like baths, and we do more enemas. It just depends on the circumstances. And 72-2 is not a separate protocol. That's once we're on full oral enema baths. We can go ahead and take a weekend. Those of you know Cutler, it's kind of like that. Like you basically don't sleep from Friday to Monday. Every 2 hours you're giving a dose. And basically what happens is the pathogens don't get a chance to revigorate at night. So we're actually hitting them all day, all night, all day, all night. And that seems to make a difference in some of our children. Here again is the dosing schedule. So we go everywhere from 25 pounds all the way up to 100 pounds. And then of course from 100 we just start going, like if your child's 150 pounds, we take the 25 drops from the first 100, and then we take the 15 from the 50, and that's when we get our dosing and where we're going to work up to. We never start there, we dose up. And as we approach full dose, it's a good idea to maybe slow it down a little bit. So if you have a child who is 100 pounds, you might want to maybe like 20 drops, start taking 2 or 3 days to get to 21, 2 or 3 days to get, because sometimes some of the children, especially in the beginning, might do better on a little bit lower dose, which is fine. It just, we really need to watch our children, and they're going to be leading us along. And then, of course, sometimes when they get to 24, 25, it's like miraculous because they really needed that dose. But you'll see as you go along. The enemas, people that are not used to enemas fear enemas, and those of us who are used to enemas think they're amazing. So for every 100 milliliters of water, we put in 2 drops of chlorine dioxide. So I know even adults that do it on themselves. If you're going to do a 2-liter enema, you're going to want 40 drops in there. So it's always the percentage. That's what's really most important. And even 2-year-old children are doing basically 700 milliliters of water in their enema. So those little bulbs that are 60 milliliters are pretty worthless. If you do see parasites coming out, parasite material coming out, it's a good idea to add another enema just to clear, because sometimes they stay in the intestine, and of course they start to digest them, and that's very toxic to them. So if you do see parasites coming out, definitely rinse again. Make sure there's no parasites. It's normal to see stool in the intestine, but it's not really normal to see parasite material coming out. If you have any doubts about what you're seeing, take a photo, send it to us on Facebook. We'll be glad to identify for you. Yeah. Some options for enemas. I really like the catheter with the syringes when you get started. It's very easy to control because the catheter goes in, it's very, very small, it's very, very flexible, and then you're just changing the syringe on the outside. I think if we need more water, my absolute favorite enema bag in the world is the blue one. Somebody actually brought me there from Europe. Somebody brought me 2 as a gift. So grateful. Love them. Somebody actually said in an email on Facebook, they said, if she loves enemas so much, why isn't she doing it on herself? That's my favorite bag. And then, of course, the red one is the ones you can find locally at the pharmacies, but the other one you can find online. There's just different options, and everybody gets used to what works for them. This was from a colon hydrotherapist who we actually had the pleasure to know on our Facebook group for a while, and she left us with some very interesting information as to why we're doing colonics. Well, basically, we do like these colon enemas, the enemas. When you do a colon cleanse, you're not only cleaning the colon, but the liver, the gallbladder are able to dump. 70% of the lymphatic system is in the colon. So when you're doing colonics or enemas, you will see mucus. The digestive lining sheds and grows a new lining every 3 to 4 days. So as you can see, our bodies are made to give us a chance to get better. 70 to 80% of our immune system is in the colon as well. The gut and brain are connected. When the gut is balanced, the brain is balanced. This is just a pearl of wisdom that I had to share with you, because people say, well, my kid's not, I told you about that with the kid, my kid's not constipated, why do I need this? This is why. And that's why we don't really have to use like milk thistle and other things for the liver, because we're detoxifying the liver every day. So the toxins go in, we do the enema, we clear them out. The CD bath, we can do anywhere from 10 to 30 drops in a small container. It really doesn't matter what the container is, so if you live anywhere in the world, you don't have to have a petty spa or anything like that. This is fine. And then the baths, they can be anywhere from 20 to 200. I've had mothers tell me that they've done 200 drop baths and they feel fantastic. So just stay 20 minutes in there and they do great. The steam bath, a lot of the children that get the congestion, I start working with people sometimes and they're having asthma and bronchitis and things that are very chronic in their children, or even in themselves. A lot of the moms have asthma, parasites. So the steam baths are great because you just basically plug the drain, put 20 drops in the tub on the bottom of the tub, and then turn on the shower. So that water is going to, the gas is going to raise up into the air, and it's a very, very light mist because it's only 20 drops. And of course, we're going to be breathing that lightly, very, very, very lightly. And that really helps a lot, especially in the beginning of a cold or something like that, or any kind of nasal congestion. This is my actual humidifier. A mom came up with this one. It's a very light mist, so basically it's 9 drops per liter or 35 drops per gallon. And these are available on Amazon. They're so cute. They come in so many different animals. Pandas and pans. This is another mother. And a lot of this is just, this is accumulating all of the healing that we've seen over the last several years that we've been working together. And this has really been a movement of people working together. This is not me, this is us. And a mom started to treat her son with a dose every single hour, and that made all the difference in her son's recovery. You'll see a picture of him in a little while. But if you have a PANS diagnosis, we really want to do 1 ounce every single hour. And people will say, yeah, but he eats all the time or she eats all the time. It doesn't matter. At that point, you can pull the apple out of the hand or whatever and just give the dose, because it's going to be really important that you're dosing from the second that the child wakes up until the second the child goes to bed, because the PANS is challenging. And the PANS with the 16 doses a day together with the parasite protocol is very healing to get rid of that. Double dosing is 2 ounces at one time, and we use this further along. We don't use this right in the beginning. We use this basically as we get into the parasite protocol, but it helps us to control when the parasites are dying and the child is looking very strange. Some kids start running around, climbing furniture, or whatever it is that we're seeing with them. At that point, the tantrums, night waking, the parasites, they wake the children between 1 and 3 in the morning. Yeast flares, they're laughing, their breath smells like a ferment. Then we would go ahead and do a 2 ounce dose, and sometimes we have to do that for a couple of hours in a row to be able to get that down. The things that kill chlorine dioxide, like I was saying, and I'm repeating it because it happens so often, and I've watched people lose many, many months of recovery by giving pineapple, mango, citrus, lemon, lime, oranges, grapefruits. Vitamin C as a supplement. A lot of people, my kid has low vitamin C, I need vitamin C. Well, we get rid of the vitamin C, we get rid of the antioxidant supplements, CoQ10, ALAE, whatever the antioxidants. Some people say, well, GABA is an antioxidant. Not really. These are basically our antioxidant supplements. And we like to really separate the chlorine dioxide from food, 15 to 30 minutes. Of course, 1 hour is ideal, but don't starve the children. So just do the best you can. I've had people starving their children. So we have to use our brain on this one. I'd rather see people start going to more dosing if the child really does graze all day long, then just dose every hour. That's, just take the guesswork out of it. And eventually they'll stop so much grazing because we're going to have more control of the pathogens. People say to me, my kid doesn't drink water, what do I do? This has to be taken with water, but somebody found out, there's another mother, sweet leaf stevia goes fine with it and it does not kill it. So online you can buy a lot of different flavored sweet leaf. If in fact the child is used to drinking flavored beverages, you could use that as well. More uses for chlorine dioxide: heavy metal neutralization, teeth, eyes, nose, bites and stings, injury, and skin. It's kind of like this, you can do pretty much everything with it. So with the heavy metals, it's going to neutralize the heavy metals, and if the child is actually doing pretty well with their detoxification, they will be able to eliminate their heavy metals, and then some of them are going to be using chelators eventually. So it just depends on the circumstance, and again, as we get 3-4 months along, 5 months along, we can take a look at whether we're going to add some chelator or not. The spray. The spray is 10 drops in 1 ounce of water. So if you have a 4 ounce bottle, you just go up, and you can spray your toothbrush with it to brush your teeth. You can put it on your skin, abrasions, dandruff, and anything that just seems to be a little off, go ahead and spray it. Foot fungus. Eye, ears, and nose. This is phenomenal, this eye, ear, nose. So conjunctivitis, an ear infection, things that we used to go to get antibiotics for, we don't have to do that anymore. So we put 1 activated drop into 1 ounce of water, and we put it in a dropper bottle. And we can drop it into the eyes. If we have conjunctivitis, so obviously it's acute, we can put the drops in the eyes every 15 minutes until the situation is gone. Usually doesn't take more than 1 day. And then with the ear infection, if you do the drops in the ears every 15 minutes, I've found that it doesn't take more than 3 hours, 4 hours for that to go away. And of course the nose, if there's any nasal discharge, you can just put some drops every 15 minutes till that stops as well. Some people even had chronic cases of like congestion and things like that, and they dose every hour for several weeks, and that usually solves the situation. Constipation and diarrhea. We do need to replace the friendly flora, that's for sure, and then we do need to kill the pathogens. Constipation with the enemas is phenomenal. We do the oral dosing, which really helps the upper part, and then of course we're going to take care of the bottom part with the enemas. And also the constipation comes from the parasites, because the parasites release the morphine, which stalls the peristalsis in the gut. So there's always a reason for, and of course we're going to go for what the actual root is. We're not just going to be bandaging these things with suppositories, but the enemas are going to also help kill the pathogens. And we're going to start the parasite protocol as soon as we get to full dose, and we'll start it with the full moon. There's several different methods of making chlorine dioxide. Some people absolutely love CDH. It's called CD holding, and it has a slower activation. The flavor's a bit better. And you can of course put stevia in this, and that helps a lot too. And then we have CDS, which is the chlorine dioxide solution that was created by Andreas Kalker. They were using it with livestock, and of course, none of the heads were dying, so it was a very good thing. We used this for a while with autism. We didn't have any recoveries with the CDS. If we did, I think we might have had one. So it's not something that I use very often. But the children that are very sensitive, like the ones that are 1/16 or 1/32 of a drop and still really have a hard time with that one, we go right to CDS. And then I have had good success. And when we get to full dose on the CDS, I start to take out 1 milliliter of the CDS and put in 1 drop of the chlorine dioxide. And then we start to work ourselves into the regular CD. But with the CDS, there's no raw material in it, so very sensitive people do pretty well with this. For colds and flu, we definitely do a dosing every single hour. If they stop eating or we stop eating, then of course we're not going to oral dose. We can do baths, we can do enemas, but then we would probably not be oral dosing anymore. And of course, once you see, like even if your child just starts to have a little bit of discharge from the nose, I would start the nasal drops right away. Herxheimer, people will call things secondary effects. Secondary effects is like I'll see people that were on certain medical, some of these pharmacological drugs, and they have a tic. Like they have a tic for the rest of their life because 5 years ago they were taking these drugs. That's a secondary effect. A Herxheimer is these. Can be hiccups, nasal drain, like as if they're getting a cold, but it's usually just detoxification. It can be tiredness, fatigue. Changes in sleep, improvement, or now they're kind of night waking a little bit, flushing, they get red, heartburn or burping or really stinky gas, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, we got their gas again, bloating, so their stomach, it gets really, really big, chills, like you're getting in the cold, you're not really feeling too good, headache, usually it's dehydration from the detox. It's real important that we keep the water flowing so they can push out all the toxins. And then sometimes the kids will get, and then they'll come up and they'll go just as fast, kind of blisters around the mouth, virus, whatever. But the interesting thing is it comes up really fast. It'll just happen one day, and then a few days later it'll just be completely gone. And parents are usually shocked by this, but it is part of this detox, and it's a Herxheimer. What is not really compatible with the chlorine dioxide protocol, antioxidants for sure are really not compatible because they kill the chlorine dioxide. Megavitamin therapies are not also because there's just too much going in, and of course the body really can't focus on detoxification when it's getting all this information. B12, our children are usually low in B12 when they have parasites because the parasites absolutely love B12 as well as they love iron. So there's a lot of anemia in our kids, especially the ones that are loaded with parasites. Fever therapy. Fever is actually an opportunity to kill the pathogens in the body. So many times when our children get the fever, we run for fever reducers, and that really doesn't let the body kill off the pathogens. And many times when we start the chlorine dioxide protocol, our immune system will get turned on, we'll get a fever, so now we're actually able to kill the pathogen that we probably should have killed years ago when we were giving it the fever reducer that caused all of our issues to begin with, but now we have an opportunity. So we don't leave the child roasting in the bed, and we don't stay roasting in the bed if it happens to us. You can take a hot bath, maybe 5 to 7 minutes, and then get out, and that change in temperature will bring down the fever. It's also really important to use washcloths, wet them in cool water, wring them out, keep them on the forehead and the back of the neck 24/7. My kid gets a fever, I don't sleep that night, but it works beautifully, and typically 1 to 3 days later we're having an improvement from prior to the fever. So it's definitely worth it because it's a natural way of immunity, as Kenny Bach in his phenomenal book, The Road to Immunity, shared with us. And of course, this is how we came here, millions and millions of years. We came prepared to make it through the environment, not just waiting for the pharmacy to open on the corner. Ocean water, we use minerals that are natural and our body are able to absorb them. So basically when people say, yeah, but my kid needs vitamins, what we do need, and all of us need, especially in any detoxification protocol, are minerals. So we're using the natural minerals of the earth, and there are 90, which is the entire periodic table, and they are they revitalize our cells. And what's really nice is the conductivity in the brain. That's the part that gets me the most excited, because it's kind of like that science project that you can see on YouTube where you have the light bulb and you have the cables going into the water, and you have the salt and you have light, and then you put in sugar and you have no light. Basically the same thing in this situation. So the improvement of the brain conductivity is fantastic, and it's nearly identical to human blood, so it's something that our bodies don't find foreign like many of the mineral supplements that are made from rocks and things. We dose chlorine dioxide. We take straight ocean water and we divide it. We dilute it into 3 parts of purified water. So basically, if you have 10 milliliters of ocean water, you put it with 30 milliliters of drinking water, and we do this 1 to 3 times a day. Some people do much better on higher doses of ocean water, but again, it's really important to take the hypertonic, which is the pure ocean water, and make it into isotonic so that we can absorb it into the body. And people say, but my kid doesn't like to drink it, so I just give it straight. It doesn't work like that. It's a complete opposite of what we're trying to do. We definitely want the absorption of the minerals, so it's important to always do 1 to 3 when you're using the ocean water. Step 3 is the parasite protocol. This is a game changer for us. So Dr. Andreas Kalker and Miriam Carrasco came up with this protocol a few years ago. This actual one is only 2 years old, but it's so good it really hasn't changed in the past 2 years. And this, like I said, it's been a real game changer to us, and people are always shocked when they see parasites coming out. It's 18-day protocol that takes place over the full moon. So 2 days prior to the actual full moon, which you can find in Google, when it is, we start dosing day 1, and we use Pyrantel, we use mebendazole, and these are all things that we can get online. We use diatomaceous earth. We also use castor oil, neem, and that looks like that's about it. Those are what we are using for killing parasites. We use also mebendazole implants. This is also something kind of new, but the children that have a lot of parasites in their gut, when we go ahead and do the implants, it makes a big difference. So basically at nighttime, right before bed, the children, again, that are passing a lot of parasites on the protocol, we'll crush up a 100 milligram tablet. We'll put it with 15 to 20 milliliters of water, which is a very small amount of water. We'll suck it up into a syringe, put it up against the rectum at night, and then syringe it in, and the parasitosis will take that up into the intestine. So at night, it will be killing parasites that are already in there, and then in the morning we do an enema, and when we do the enema, it'll pull out a lot of dead parasites. So the children will have a fabulous day that do this. This has been very, very interesting to watch the implant change. Labs that show parasitic infection, it is very hard to find a lab that actually gives us a positive on parasites. So we have to read into what we're seeing on some of the labs if we're doing labs at all. Low B12 is common to see in our children, low iron, high ammonia, high oxalates. These are all from parasites. The oxalates are not, the food is not the problem, it's the parasites, and the low eosinophils. So these are things that you can see if you do labs or you have done labs. Look back into them and you'll typically see this. And of course, once you start, you'll start seeing parasites. These are some pinworms that we have, a little out of focus, but you get the idea that they're just these stringy, long, thin, and these will come out pretty much in the beginning because they'll hang out around the rectum. And then, of course, we call them roundworms. Some of them are rope, but anyway, the Ascaris lumbricoides is pretty common, what we see. And you can see the ropiness. So these are all washed with hot water. So when people say, oh no, that's intestinal mucus, if you put it under hot water, will dissolve and fall through. These are all washed in strainers with hot water, and you can see them looking very much like worms, and their length as well. This is 40 inches long. This mother is a pioneer in what she's doing, a real warrior, and her son is now so much better. You'll see a picture of him in a little bit, but this is very common for them to get out. And 40 inches, really, this is not mucus. Look at this one. You can see the knottiness of it. You can see the texture of these. This is just what's coming out of our kids. It's a small sampling of what's coming out of our kids. These are the stages of the rope, so sometimes they can look bubbly. A lot of parents will say, yeah, I saw a bubble in the toilet. And there we go, it's a rope. And they just have a different look than the other worms, but still there's so many different types of parasites that most everything I think that's coming out is some sort of parasite material at some sort of stage. This is not one of our kids, and actually the interesting thing is, as the one that you saw a couple screens ago, you notice there's no blood on it. It's just basically clean. This is not with chlorine dioxide. This is not with the Kalker parasite protocol. Between the chlorine dioxide oral enema and the Kalker parasite protocol, we never see blood. This is not something like this bleeding and all that. We don't see that kind of stuff, but that's other protocol that's used by some other people. I think in Russia this doctor is. But of course, it wasn't dead enough to slip away from the intestine itself. So this is not one of ours, but it is a rope. And these are some more of that same that same mother who is healing her son, and he's doing so well. Just one parasite after another, and more healing every single day. And this, well, it's a heart, isn't that cute? It's an egg sac, but it was in a heart shape. I just think it's so cute. And so the larvae are in there. And a lot of times we'll see parents getting tons and tons and tons of this out, which is great because these never developed into full-grown worms. So this is a very exciting thing to see. This was a couple years ago, and the mother ended up getting this parasite out of her child, but first she took a picture, and it was 3 feet long. And so another mom at an Autism One conference a couple years ago showed it to a doctor, and the doctor said that it was a fruit fiber. So we're still on the hunt for the 3-foot-long banana that it came from. This little gal had a very distended belly. She is also a child who has a lot of parasites and has done very, very well. You'll see her in a couple other slides as well. But now her tummy is nice and flat, and of course her ATEC score has fallen a lot. She's not yet recovered, but she's doing phenomenally well, cheerleading and everything else. So after 3 full moon protocols, we start to layer other interventions in if we haven't recovered the child yet. We do keep the chlorine dioxide and the parasite protocol going the entire time, as well as the diet, as we're adding in other steps. And even if there's still more things to do, a lot of us, for instance, are doing all of the steps. We're doing the hyperbarics, we got the GC-MAF in, and we're just going, month after month, and some of us are rolling into several years. But just the same, our children are always getting better. Step 4, other supplements. These are some of the supplements that we're using, and most of them have to do with speech or seizure control, and some of them have a double function for both. So that's typically what we're using. We're definitely not supplementing deficiencies because the reason why is we're more focused on eliminating the excess. But speech is an issue for so many of us. So carnosine, GABA, TMG, DMG, the B6 or P5P, sometimes we use that, L-carnitine. These are very good for speech. And of course, it's really important, one capsule doesn't usually do it. Sometimes we have to titrate up so that it's actually at a therapeutic dose. Because GABA for some kids, can be as high as 5,000 milligrams a day. It's just depending on what the necessity is. What causes seizures? A lot of people we don't know, a lot of doctors don't know, but what we have found is that children with a lot of parasites with high levels of ammonia will be the children who have a lot of seizures. So once we start to get rid of the parasites, we'll start to see these seizures go away. And sometimes it can happen really, really quickly just with the chlorine dioxide starting. So, but sometimes we need to add some supplements in. And these are some of the supplements for the seizure control. As you can see, many of them are the speech ones. So we just can go ahead and add and titrate up until we get exactly what we want. GABA and Keppra, I don't know if people with children have seizures. Keppra is one of the drugs, but GABA basically works on the exact same pathway. So sometimes we can do really good things with the supplements as well. This little lady had a lot of seizures. She had the grand mal tonic-clonic every 17 days, and now she's been seizure-free for, 200 days, maybe, something like that. And just counting, 200 days and counting, and then of course her first round was also something like 200 days, and then she had one, and that was usually because there was something with they rested on the parasite medicine or something like that, and so that caused it, but then she was fine again. Anyway, so her ATEC went from 79 to 32, and you can just see the difference in her face, and she's doing cheerleading and having friends, and the other day her mom posted a picture of her with some friends that came to visit her, and it's really lovely, very nice to see. Step 5, chelation. We're using biochelate, bentonite clay, zeolite. Some families are working with practitioners and they do DMPS, EDTA, different chelators. They go with the protocol. Like I said, one of my friends, she does IV chelation, and that works also with the protocol for the people that are doing that kind of thing. We typically use the other ones like bentonite clay, oral, and baths. Zeolite, oral, or the biochelator, all 3 of these, they actually go quite well. So for the metals, these are the good ones. Step 6 and 7, hyperbarics and GC-MAF. When parents tell me, okay, I have some money, I'm ready to do something more, we're not there yet, what should I do next? I think it has a lot to do with what you have at your access. So for instance, if you live and there's a chamber somewhere in your vicinity, go ahead and you can start the chamber. Or if not, then you can order your GC-MAF, get started on your GC-MAF, and then when you do have time and vacation time or whatever, you can travel to a chamber. The GC-MAF and the hyperbarics go very well together. So This would be kind of an either or. There's many different types of chamber. This is just my chamber, so it's oxygen under pressure. So it gets into the body, takes down the inflammation. And the important thing with the chamber is, because I've heard so many people tell me, oh, I've done chamber, my kid got worse, or I didn't see any changes. It's really important that the child is ready, physically ready. So some people come to me and they say, okay, you know, we're doing hyperbarics right now, but we're not on the protocol yet. I will usually ask them if it's possible they can hold off with the rest of their sessions, and then maybe in about 4 months, go ahead and finish off those sessions, because I think that they would get a better result, because we have aerobic bacteria and aerobic parasites. So they would also be benefiting from the hyperbaric chamber. So the timing is everything. We definitely want to start working down the population of the parasites and the bacteria in order to benefit the most from the oxygen therapy, because it is a very expensive one, and we definitely want our children to have the best results. It needs to be applied in the right order. Again, putting hyperbarics, you know, before the protocol, I wouldn't do that. And of course, the right depth is very important, because a lot of people are doing very low depths, or they get excited and they want to do very high depths. It really is best if we just stay at the depth that they want. And actually, I've seen many children do hyperbarics, and within 3 or 4 months, 2 to 3 months, lose their diagnosis of autism afterward, just start getting better really quickly. The protocols, there's option 1 and option 2. The classic is option 2, but option 1 I like a whole lot better. So if you've never done hyperbarics, it would be 20 sessions of 90 minutes at 1.75 atmospheres. Then every 3 months we would do half of that, which is so much easier. And we have all the same benefits of option 2, which was the original one from the photo with Dr. Rinlin back in 2005, 2006 that we were doing. And that is 40 sessions of 60 minutes at 1.75 atmospheres. And then every 3 months we would do basically half of that until the child would recover. So there are several options for us, and you know, we do what we can. GC-MAF, Dr. Ruggiero is going to be speaking in a couple hours about GC-MAF, but it's available at gcmaf.eu. They have a lot of science, they've published a lot of papers, they've done a lot of work, and they're getting actually now, they're getting about a 25% rate of recovery with their protocol. The protocol has actually been updated. So the standard one we've been injecting for a while, a couple years now, that one is about a 15%, but now with the added other pieces like the suppository and the oral, they're getting more like a 25%. So this is definitely something we want to add. We always want to add the things that are showing recovery. That is so important to be putting them together. And then of course with cancer, they're also having a lot of healing with cancer and reversing even stage 4, but that's all documented and published in the journals of immunology. And of course, we are collecting ATECs. The ATEC is available at Autism Treatment Evaluation Checklist. It's at autism.com. And I like people to do these every 3 months, because when you talk to somebody, they say, well, he's not really talking, but he's doing this, and the teacher said that. It's very hard to be speaking the same language. So when you say to somebody, what's your child's ATEC? And they say 79, it used to be 106, or they say it was 86 when we started, now it's 40. You kind of get an idea of where we're going, and of course, as a parent, this is really encouraging to know that we're going the right direction. So what this other slide was saying is, we're seeing basically almost 80% of the children losing 10 points after 50 days. And of course, some of the families, I was talking to a lady yesterday, and her child in 2 months lost 40 points. So it just depends on the child, and some of them will lose points very, very quickly in their healing. Of course, 0 to 10 is where our child no longer has a diagnosis of autism, and 30 and up is autism from a light autism more into a severe, into the hundreds. And you'll see in a little bit some of our success stories. And when I say success stories, I believe recovery is success, but I also believe that healing and all the changes that happen even between the complete full recovery and where we are today are definitely noteworthy. So my son, this is my son, he was naked boy. He only ate coloring, flavoring, and everything that came in a package from those type of companies. That was pretty much what he looked like, and that was an ATEC score of 147. He didn't sleep, he didn't listen. It was a very bad time, and now you can see he's 13, he's enjoying with his family, he's just cheeky cute, and his ATEC score is 17. So, Thank you. I'm really proud of him. He's done really, really well. And people say to me, why isn't your kid recovered if your protocol's so good? I would have really liked to have started my protocol with him when he started to lose language at the age of 2. That would have been nice, but unfortunately we had to wait until he was 10 to start our first drop. So, but he's doing really well, and I'm grateful that he is a beacon of light for all of us here today. And this guy, also warrior mom, phenomenal, love her so much. He actually almost killed her. He was very aggressive, pandas, and now he's lovely, helping around the house and all kinds of wonderful things, and very exciting, an ATEC of 3, and he's 18 years old. So really, when we think to ourselves, yeah, right? I think that this is also something, this window of opportunity between 2 and 4, whatever these numbers of window of opportunity, we don't have that anymore. We're not limited. I'll show you somebody else in a little bit. 31 years old. Yeah. His mom started with him in biomedical 30 years ago. She did diet for 30 years. She never gave up on him. And again, he was very violent. That was one of the biggest things with him towards the end. And she just had a picture of him on Facebook the other day. He has a suntan, and then maybe a couple months he was walking his dog. And it's really inspiring to see 32 years old. I mean, there's so much hope, just absolutely so much hope. And again, these mothers, that we keep the fire burning. We keep the fire burning until all the answers are there. This little gal, as you can see, she is absolutely very dear to me. She's 8 years old, was very uninterested in the camera, and now she is a model. She poses with whatever she's got on. Also, you can see in the face, she's still in recovery. She's not fully recovered yet, has a lot of mercury, but I mean, the difference is, we're living with our child, we're interacting with our child. This is no longer just kind of moving from place to place. As you can see also, we've made big gains. I love this boy's mama. She's a really, really close friend of mine, and it's really nice to see that we can do things for each other. And she's given back every single day to the rest of all of us, the rest of the autism community. Thank you. Here's another mom. I don't know. Her son is fully recovered from autism, and she stays out there. She is a beauty pageant queen. She doesn't waste 1 minute of telling everybody that autism is treatable and curable, and how she did it with her child. She's not scared. She's out there, edgy, beautiful. As you can see, it wore off. He's very, very handsome, has friends, is getting amazing grades in school, A's, 10s, whatever we would call that here. Another fella, he had Lyme. He now has an ATEC of a 1. His father had Lyme, they don't. 16 years old. And they had done, most of these older kids, they've done pretty much every protocol that was out there until they found the protocol that we have here today. And he actually called me on the phone and in Spanish thanked me for helping heal him. It was really nice. He speaks, I think, 3 languages. Another fella whose dad and mom, amazing, they help out on the Facebook groups, they support, and they make sure that we're all doing really, really well. ATEC score 53-5, and he's 17. Another mom, all I can tell you is moms, I love them so much. I don't know most of their kids, but anyway, he is a child that, almost died from seizures and, many flights in the airplane and many ambulance rides quickly to the hospital, and now they're having an amazing life. He's very handsome. I saw photos of him last night as well as this one. Skin color's good, he's going back to school in the fall. Very exciting. I can't wait to hear about all the friends he's going to make there. These moms, I love you. This guy's smarter than smart, knows everything about astrology and languages and everything, but he's doing phenomenally well. And his mom, what can I say? I love you. This is good also. This little guy, you can see how sick he was. You can see it. He's just night and day, and this is 2 years of the protocol. He had double mito issues. He was on 5 drugs, 1 for seizure, 1 for thyroid, all gone with the protocol. Yeah, impressive, very impressive. Love this guy. Love his mom. Yeah, this was Pandas. And as you can see, he's great. And his mom told me the other day that the teacher sent a text message home and basically saying that, he's amazing like every day. So he's amazing every day, and just another amazing day for him. And you can see he loves life, just like his mama. Oh, another warrior mom I love. Ty's mom is a game changer. Not that any of the other moms were not game changers, but this woman is trailblazing, pioneering. He's actually 19, isn't he? He's 19 years old now, and this happened at 17, that he broke up the house, the neighborhood, attacked himself. It was a very serious situation, and the family really didn't know what to do, and another, one of the moms out there on the Facebook groups reached out to her, and things started to change. Those 40-inch worms started to come out. The mother started testing them because she had all the labs saying there were no parasites, and you can see Ty today. He's doing really, really well, and it's very encouraging, especially, parents of older kids, that we didn't make that first, the first 2, 3, 4 years, and of course now to know that parasites were a big piece of the healing puzzle, obviously, and we just keep going. Like this mother, she just keeps going. He's better all the time, and the parasites are coming out all the time. How long does it take? We don't all know, but the mom is actually collecting a lot of worms because at some point, somebody's going to come forward and say, we want to test these. So anybody that sees this video that is interested, contact me. I'll put you in touch with her. Oh, another one. We've had a change in the ATEC. Mom is showing me. He actually is now a 5 ATEC. And he gives more and more to his mama every day. A beautiful child, beautiful mother. This is our latest. This isn't, well, we've just had a couple. We had another one come in a couple days ago, but this is number 131. And he, as you can see, is basically a story of hope. You can see him with his sisters just looking really good. And the mother says, number 131, I started this protocol in February of 2012. You can read about our journey in Kerri's book, first and second editions. We did it all. The strict diet with a diary, the dosing, the enemas, the parasite protocol, supplements for the humidifier. In a very short time, my son transformed to a healthy little boy with no allergies, no eczema, great sleep, no more GI issues. His ATEC score went from 64 to 13. So basically, I owe this protocol, the hope we have now for his full recovery. And then she sends me these photos with this little quip saying, I opened my son's bedroom door and he says, hi, Mommy, is Daddy baking pancakes? And I said, no, I made nuggets for breakfast. And he said, nuggets? Are you baking nuggets? Yes. And he said, let's go eat yummy nuggets. Is Daddy sleeping? And she says, yes. Then he said, shh, let's be quiet. ATEC 9. He's actually no longer following the protocol. He's on the diet, but just really doing well. Again, a couple of these other children, there's a couple children on there that are not on the protocol anymore because they're recovered. They're not even in managed recovery. And so what does recovery look like? I'm going to click.
Hi, Shay.
Hi,
How old are you today?
10 years old.
And can you tell us what it felt like to have autism and Asperger's syndrome?
I got tummy aches a lot, I got sick a lot, I had social difficulties, I had trouble at school, I was obsessed over cameras, flashing lights, water, light bulbs, toilets, and computers. I got mad a lot and angry easily, and I stimmed on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel today?
Recovered, happy, I stopped stimming, and I'm not obsessed over anything.
So do you feel like you've recovered?
Yes.
Yay! Should we say thank you to Kerri Rivera?
Yes.
Thank you, Kerri.
Thank you, Kerri Rivera.
So that's what autism recovery looks like. We have 133 children between the ages of 2 and 32 who have lost their autism diagnosis, and I want to point out we've killed nobody. So when there's people out there For every action, there's a reaction, and the current on the other side says that this is bleach and it's bad. Well, I don't know. We get the sick kids and they recover, and it's pretty phenomenal. So, and again, as you've seen, some of the children that are not fully recovered yet, but they have made so many strides towards it that if we keep going, we'll probably arrive at the same place. Just we don't know when our journey will end, but that is irrelevant. And then, of course, once we know the truth, it will set us free. And I have a real surprise for you today, which I had the opportunity to meet her yesterday. She's number 112. Her name is Rachel, and her mother, I am so grateful that she will let us put a face with recovery. Rachel, will you come up, sweetheart, and tell these people? Here, baby. I'm so proud of you.
I'm sorry, I can't do this without crying.
And we can't watch you without crying, so we're all crying together. Just tell them anything you want to tell them that might motivate them to heal their child, like your mom did for you, and all the wonderful things. Anything you want to say.
My name is Rachel. I'm 10 years old, and I'm in 5th grade, and I've done biomed most of my life, 9 years, and then we started CD, and in December 2013, my mom told me that I was recovered. She did my ATEC last night, and it was amazing, and I had a 17-point drop in 24 days, and the last time we checked, my ATEC was 7, and I feel like it's gone down even lower.
We would say so. We would say so.
The CD and the hyperbaric chamber have been amazing, absolutely wonderful, and if you're afraid of it, it's really something that you should try. It changed my life.
Oh, sweetheart. You're so strong.
I have a normal life. I have friends at school, and I'm doing well. I'm getting good grades, and I hang out with my friends, and we have fun together. And they've noticed that I'm not like them, not in a quirky, that girl is weird way, but she's just not like us. Like they ask me, can you eat anything? Because I'm gluten and casein free while also peanut and soy free, and I limit my sugar while they have Hershey's syrup on Eggo pancakes. And I also feel a little bit more mature than they are sometimes. I just feel wise beyond my years.
Beyond my years, too.
They just don't, I don't feel like them, and I don't want to, because this is part of me, and it's really special. I've been coming here since I was 7, and I've always loved coming here and hearing people and learning about this. And it's been really hard to keep this secret from my friends because I want to tell them so that they can have an explanation for everything that's going on with me. Day by day, I'm noticing still that I am improving, and there's improvement in me, and I've noticed that I can filter now, and I'm just amazed, and my social development has been improving, and I have so many friends, and I'm so proud of myself and happy that I've come so far. everybody out there who wants to recover their child. And CD is something you should try, a hyperbaric chamber too. And there's hope for everybody. All of you can do this. It's not about the ATEX score and how high it is. It's about the determination and the will of the parent. If you believe you can do it, then you can.
Thank you, sweetheart. I'm very proud of you. Very proud of this gal. Very proud of her mom. It was such a nice opportunity to be able to share in the healing journey of the family. And of course, to meet her yesterday was amazing and incredible. And of course, to hear her sing in 3 languages last night at karaoke night. Amazing voice. And you picked the song last night, The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. You want to say why you picked The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow?
Because there's hope for everybody. There's tomorrow and there's hope. Because the sun will come out tomorrow and you can recover your child.
Thank you very much. You're amazing, girl. You're amazing. I'm so glad you made it. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for sharing your message of hope with them. I really appreciate that. And they all really appreciate that too.